Hur lite snabbare på landet du säger?
German is Schwankopf.
Schwankopf. What's it in French?
Bob l'éponge.
Bob l'éponge.
Yike caught out in his jungle.
This chunk so really low. Look.
No, Tristana.
She's hinting. She's dead for sure. Play on this guy, no flash.
Coming.
Nice. Thank you.
Can't get it, and now Koi can open up. Face call, pulls back one. Mickey goes back in. Larssen with the stopwatch. Yike's gonna fall. Mickey two, and Caps and Handsummer can only stand and watch. The last defense is not enough. A penta for Comp to close it out and to start Koi's comeback in this series.
What a beautiful symphony of death. I wish we could still have the music coming into this segment.
Honestly,
because
look, give me some classical over this, you know, aggro any day of the week.
It fit together very, very well, and it was also melodic in the way that Koi had to come back in this series, and they did it so convincingly. And I guess Malrang heard us talking shit before and hyping up Yike so much. He said, Ender, I'm going to set the record straight for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, he absolutely did. Came out with a force in this game, and we've actually seen all 3 games, like that first gank, go super well for Malrang and be successful. This time it was counter ganking that dive around mid that went horribly wrong for G2. Yike's flash just super unfortunate here as well, but Malrang really showed an ability to snowball the jungle matchup. Again, knowing Yike was going to come top lane, hanging out around this lane and winning the extended trade.
Yeah, I just feel like if Malrang gets too much freedom in these games, then it really starts to look a little bit dire, right? Game 1, it was the same kind of deal when he had that much freedom. Game 3 here, it felt like after that mid dive, there was not really too much G2 could do to answer it. They kept on trying to throw bodies at plays, but Malrang was still there to answer every single time.
He was always there. I also think like the Conqueror is such an odd choice, but like as I was looking at it in the game, I was like, this actually makes a lot of sense, especially against the Lilia. Why does Lilia beat Sejuani? Well, percent HP burn, also just dominating her in extended trades. So the Conqueror, especially in that early fight, that 2v2 around top lane, where, you know, she's chasing down an Olaf and a Lilia, she actually was stacking that up and getting some considerable damage done. I also think it's interesting, our stats team pinged me and told me there's only been 4 times ever Sej has been played with Conqueror, all back in 2019. 2 of those from a man known as SOFM or SOFM or Style of Me, an absolute connoisseur in the jungle position. So I love that Malrang is also downloading that.
I love that little tidbit. That's amazing. And yeah, this time around though, Jamada, to our surprise, and I think also our joy, Koi did not let the early game lead go. In fact, they really made sure it got accelerated, even though G2 still got their hands on 2 early dragons.
Yeah, I feel like there was a lot of calculated decision-making going on there. They picked up Heralds as well in response, so it wasn't just like giving over dragons for getting nothing. And generally, just from the jump as well, thinking about like just playstyle compared to game 1 and 2, here it's a lot more bread and butter in terms of the champions they're playing too. So it felt like a lot more of a relaxed game for Koi to play out.
Yeah, they definitely had like the scaling on their side. Yeah. So as long as they didn't like drastically drop the ball, they were going to be very comfortable the later the game got. At the same time, though, I think that G2 showed classic G2 style. I think when they fall behind early, this is a team, a little bit, but this is a team that will never like lose slowly or lose quietly. Like they're always going to look for some kind of an edge. So there are a lot of situations where, say like mid lane's being pushed in against Caps, he abandons lane to run bot lane and kill Trymbi in river. Right? Loses a lot of gold for the plate, but sees an angle to go for it. Same thing, they were able to get the first 2 Drakes of the game because that second Drake, when it's spawning, BrokenBlade gives up 3 plates in top lane so that he can get first move out of top lane and roam down and secure that objective. So G2, whenever they fall behind, will always try to amass a numbers advantage and use that to make plays around the map to compensate for the fact that they are losing.
It's good to see from the side of Koi that they were able to fight back in this game and keep that all in mind, because when we watched the first game, for instance, we saw the fact that they were always late on the play, they didn't have the numbers, they didn't have the right objectives, I want to say, necessarily. And let's remember that in 2022, with mostly the same configuration on Koi, it was a 3-0 for them, or they lost 3 games in a row. So I think the fact that we're seeing more out of this series now bodes well for the next one.
Honestly, if game 2 was 2019 G2, game 3 was 2022 Rogue, right?
Yeah.
Like absolutely showing up, like Malrang reading every move from the enemy jungler, showing up with the counter gank. It was perfection in the early game.
Yeah, it really was. It was a lot better from Koi. I think just generally a lot more attentive as well to what G2 are doing, right? Just saying, all right, you know what, you guys are kind of just going to run into us, grief a little bit. Sure, we'll take it and we'll run with it. And again, I just to me, the biggest thing for Koi was they lost 2 games. G2 really did a good job of shutting down some of their power points through Malrang, and of course the level 1 invade from game 2. And they just say, you know what, fine, we will go back to our basics. And that was the largest thing here, because I think if you're getting smashed in the way that you do in these first 2 games, you can either do one of 2 things. You can kind of go out there and just say, you know what, screw it. We're going to just balls to the walls, the whole whatever we've got in our locker. And if we go out 3-0, we go out 3-0. Or we just sit back and just play what we know we are 100% capable of playing. And don't let G2 get any of this crazy stuff they've been pulling out, and ensure that we don't lose the game in the first 10 minutes.
Something we've heard before. You've yelled it to many teams, Ender, over the last couple of weeks. Like, to do this and just keep your head screwed on. Fantastic from them. And you also see how, to be fair, they were laughing also after they got stomped in game 2, right? But they kept the momentum up, knowing that they are better than what they've shown in those first 2 games.
Honestly, like the meta in terms of like mental in EMEA is just like laugh off the int. You know, like if it goes poorly, keep spirits high. But with G2 choosing blue side, I think that this instantly resets the series, because we just saw a couple games from them over on the red side. We just got like the Lilia out of Yike, for example. But if we rewind back to game 1, that was a game where it's first pick Maokai, right? Like standard jungle, very meta jungle pick for Yike right there. And I think that I'm curious what the adaptation will be from Koi coming into this game.
Yeah, I'm actually, you know, adaptation from Koi, sure. I'm kind of curious on what G2 will do a little bit more, because I feel like I want to see another kill lane come out of them to try and shut down now. You know, a Comp and Trymbi. Comp is going to be feeling super good after the pentakill, right? He's going to be spirits high, a lot of...
Sivir again.
Sivir again, probably. But I'm really curious. I don't necessarily feel like we're going to get Misfortune. I feel like Koi are probably going to keep Maokai out of Yike's hands. I'm wondering if Guldborg's right and we might end up getting a Samira and just a full-blown like kill lane 2v2, and just ensure that even if you're running into something like Nami Lucian, which again I feel like G2 are probably considering it in that game as well, you can still shut it down with a winning 3v3.
See, I'm not so sure, because I think like when you look at like second phase bans from Koi, if they're committing to AD carry, I don't think they remove something like the Misfortune. I also think their first 3 bans, there's not a lot of wiggle room right there. There's no way you give Elise over. There's probably no way you give the Draven over as well, especially if you're trying to first rotation the Lucian Nami, which puts you in a real bind, because one of the other things that happened in this draft is because they go for AD carry support and G2 don't match instantly, G2 get to pick mid, well, Koi are put in an impossible position. They need to pick Sejuani on 3, but then that also means they're going to get banned out and they can't get an immediate answer into the Jace, which is the real problem, and goes to show that G2 have a draft advantage because they are allowed to leave their bot lane picks for so late in the draft.
And the fact that they had a game 1 kind of all lights out win with a draft with some picks that weren't necessarily in everyone's meta, right? The Misfortune came up and all of a sudden you have that trump card coming into game 4.
Yeah, and it smashed in the team fights too. That MF was no joke.
So it's so interesting. G2 back on the blue side. Let's see if Koi has some more ideas to take them down. Let's kick it over to our casters.
Thank you very much, Sjokz. It's going to be an exciting 4th game of this series. I think a lot of people, after seeing the first 2, expected it to be a 3-0. We'd be home, we'd be having our evening pizzas. Yep. Love pizza.
You gotta call me out there, haven't you?
You'd love to have a pizza after a show day.
It's true.
There's nothing wrong with that.
It's true. It's like
Hawaiian,
a ritual.
however.
Yeah, I do love
he
my
actually
Hawaiian
buys
pizzas.
tins of pineapple to put on pizzas.
Sometimes.
Vedius
That's
does
only
do
if
that.
that's only if the pizza establishment
You were
doesn't make
frustrated
Hawaiian.
at me when you came to my house and I didn't have spare pineapple tins.
That's true. Yes,
Wait, you were mad at him?
Okay, all of this is factually correct, yes. But let's not focus on the game, shall we, gentlemen? G2 back on the blue side. They will be taking Caitlyn away. And
Just watch all the SpongeBob, like, I don't get it.
You said something that really resonated with me, which is
Pineapple?
Koi feel like that they're forced into bans, which is the Draven, the Ashe, the Elise. Then that potentially leaves the Maokai open. So what do you do?
What do you do?
What do you do?
What do you do is the question. To be honest, I would swap the Ashe ban out for Maokai and just have something cooked up in the bot lane ready for this Ashe support.
I agree with you, actually.
Maybe play some kind of mini lane and just try to punish it.
They've shown that they can pick the Heimerdinger, and I think that you can still do Heimer. I know that Ashe is considered a good matchup into the Heimerdinger.
That's the Ashe ban.
They gave over Maokai again. I think this just stings, doesn't it? So what's the answer? They must have something prepared. Take away the Jace, I think.
Yeah. Maybe.
Take away the Jace.
I'm going to say I don't think Caps was the main problem in game 1.
I know, but it's just so much poke.
True.
Jace, Varus, Maokai, whatever it is, it's just so impossible to deal with at times. There's the Varus taken away. Nice. Then I'm going to go Lucian Nami, get a little bit of poke of their own. No.
Jarvan was banned in game 1.
No way. No.
Let's see if Malrang decides that Jarvan is the way to go here.
It's now the time and the place for a Jarvan, you know,
Well,
Malrang.
not any Jarvan, but Malrang's Jarvan, I would have, you know, succumbed to that temptation.
The main reason why I would have considered it is just because I think if you pair up proper dive, Jarvan, very good into champions that don't have that inherent mobility like a Misfortune.
Yeah, but they would just pick Lucian Nami, I think, and it would just be impossible to get on the Lucian.
That's fair. That's a fair point.
So that's why I think if you want to play Jarvan, playing it later in the draft is fine. Now a Jarvan on 3 would make sense, right? But they're going to go Sivir, maybe Renata here for Mikyx, some kind of Sivir melee support lane, Sivir Karma, yeah.
Oh, wow. So they're actually going in a very different direction compared to what they did in Game 1. Remember that this Karma can be flexed. We've seen multiple teams in the LEC do it, and G2 locking this in while you expect it to be in the bot side of the map could potentially move to mid, even though I wouldn't see any, like, right now, any massive value in doing so. As Koi, we expect them to round out with a support of their own. Maybe we actually get to see Trymbi on a melee support. Oh, in fact, they're actually going to go for the blind Gnar.
I mean, Szygenda did really well on Gnar, I think.
Oh, for sure.
He dodged a lot of ganks, was good in isolation.
Had good ults in the teamfights.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that Koi are realizing that comfort and is key right now, having them on just comfortable champions. Larssen on the Azir, which I think G2 should. I mean, they did ban it away on the 1-2-3, the Azir and the Sylas, which is his comfort. Is he going to go back to something like the Victor on 4? We will see. But Jace ban is good. Like that a lot from Koi. We'll see if they double target mid here onto Caps. Sjokz is another one that's on the top of my head.
Yeah, full BrokenBlade up towards that top lane, most played across the course of Winter. G2 can look towards support bans here if they really want, can also try and pinch the mid lane pool a little bit. Sylas and Azir already taken away. There's the Lulu. Alongside that, Trymbi's been very comfortable on, you know, the Nami.
I think... yeah, sorry.
No.
Is Karma flex here, you think?
I think could be flex top, actually. BrokenBlade has played it twice so far. Could be that mid flex that Vedius already mentioned. But what would you... I don't see many things that you need to team up with Sivir that Karma couldn't do. If you want more all-in, maybe you want Mikyx on the Nautilus just for engage potential later on, then banning out.
Yeah, so what I think is if they blind Nautilus or Leona on 4 here, Koi, I think Karma Flex Braum is actually pretty good, especially against Vi, if they want to go that direction.
Sure.
I'm not sure how good it is, but it makes it so bot lane is a lot less volatile in terms of needing jungler because, you know, the Karma gets hooked once and can die possibly. But there's the Jax ban.
I think that Koi will pick his Zia here.
It's banned.
Oh, right, yeah, my bad. That was... well, it's a good thing that they didn't pick a Zia then, isn't it? Yeah, the main reason why I think that they should pick mid here, mainly because I think that it's in their best interest to figure out where that Karma is going, because even if you just pick a control mage mid, the Karma's not going to have any like significant advantage, unless you're really thinking of like an assassin, but that wouldn't make any sense.
Varus support Kalista.
It's Varus support, yeah.
Or Kalista support with Varus.
Yeah, you could play both. I think Varus support is the one that players tend to lean towards more.
Yeah.
I think the only person I've seen play Kalista support is Keria, to be honest.
Yeah. Not a high bar to hit then, if you're trying to match him.
Yeah, best in the world. You know, it's quite easy to reach. Olaf there locked in for BrokenBlade. It's going to be Caps Tristana again. So they're actually running back a similar sort of comp. They've just kind of taken the Sivir away and got themselves a Maokai.
I do think they've made their dive stronger, though, compared to last game.
Oh, Ahri, great pick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, you're right. A lot of extra mobility. Makes it much harder to lock down.
Yeah, it's a good answer to Tristana, I think. I mean, you get pushed in, but I think the mobility against Olaf, Tristana is really important. The only struggle is the Maokai W.
Yeah, and the problem with getting pushed in is Caps has shown us just how much he can roam around the map in this series, and of course, over his entirety of his career. Getting pushed in does mean that Caps is opened up a little bit more on the map, but you do have the protection of, you know, Chain of Corruption down towards that bottom side, the Fate's Call from the Kalista as well. If you get to level 6, top lane Gnar should be relatively safe, even if he's put under a bit of pressure.
So they've actually kept Trymbi on the Kalista. I was expecting comp. Let's not forget that this bot lane from Koi originally was the Kalista Soraka bot lane, right? From last finals. A bot lane that they didn't even practice, they just brought out because they thought that it would be good. Typically, when you think of comp, he is that hyper-aggressive AD carry. He is someone that can go toe-to-toe with Hans Sama when it comes to the early game skirmishes. So the fact that they put him on the Forest is a little bit surprising to me, but it looks like that he will be the primary carry on that. And we'll see if Trymbi cooks anything up. I don't suppose either of you have seen any support Kalista?
4 support, actually. 4 support Kalistas for Trymbi in solo queue.
Oh, yeah.
1, 2 of them, lost 2 of them. So, likes the Dust Blade build with the Umbral Glaive. We'll see if he can bring it out here once again. Has been playing a bit around the world as well. We'll see if Koi can continue the reverse sweep and make it 2-2.
So, Kalista support. Keria played it towards the start of the split against Damwon when they were in a 1-1 series, or I should say DK+. They've changed their name now. And he's 100% winning on it. He played it last week against Gen G as well. But the other supports, hang on a second, Caps might have to take W here, level 1.
Did have to do it in game 2 as well, game 3 as well.
The other supports like Kellen and Kale, they never really found success on it yet. No one's really won on it apart from Keria in the LCK.
I mean, Keria's really the only support that's been finding success on all these different AD carry champions and support, right?
So it's a bit of a hard one to pull off because you have to trade really hard level 1. And what T1 normally do is they stack waves bot and dive. And the Kalista can guarantee the push, and you have double Halo Blades bot, and you just burst them on the tower dive, right?
Yeah.
That's the idea. So Owner will always hover around, they'll force dives. Now, will Koi do the same kind of thing? Because in the other games, when that's actually not the strategy, the Kalista just falls off so quickly, just arrives at a Herald fight, does a little bit of damage, past that point, doesn't really offer anything. So you need to get this Varus ahead.
Not the conventional style for Koi. Usually they like to try and just scale up towards the later portions of the game. Yike styling on his bot side camps here. Razorbeak's first for him. Malrang's going to get at least a start on his Razorbeaks. BrokenBlade places a ward, so they'll know where the Koi jungler is if he decides to go red next, or even if he doesn't, they know that he's probably on the other side of the map. Spotted out now as he goes around the corner. And Trymbi and Comp, let's see how aggressively they want to trade at level 1. Is Cleanse on Trymbi, double Hail of Blades as to be expected in the bottom lane. Futures market as well for Trymbi. Do see this sometimes on range supports or on AD carry supports, I guess, where you want to be able to get towards those spikes a little bit earlier.
Yeah, and Karma support is actually not bad into the Kalista, because as she goes to trade, if you can hit Q and slow, then obviously she can't attack as much. Right. And then once the Halo Blades is off, that's when you can look to trade. So that's why Trymbi's being really careful on his Q. So there's the Q, so now it just makes it so only 1 or 2 autos off, right? Ideally, you want to get 3 or 4 off, get the E, and then back away. But they're stacking the waves, but Malrang's not here. They're just going to get ganked by Yike. Will they fall prey to death?
As they see him on the ward now.
Up comes in.
Mikyx flashes in. Here's the level 2. Combats to flash away. Trymbi trying to dance away from this one as well. Yike puts down a sapling. That will get the slow flash forward with a twisted advance and knock back in Comp. Falls prey to the level 1. Trymbi takes an answering kill. Trying to turn it around here with the red buff, but does still have the flash, has the cleanse. Mantra W, cleanse away by Trymbi. Flashes back. Oh, missed the Q! Comp respawns. Malrang's on his way down here. Now, what have we got in terms of sums? None for G2's bot lane. Malrang stands on a ward for a second.
Look at Caps making his way down
as well. We talked about Caps being able to roam out early. He's doing exactly that. Comp's still sprinting down towards this bottom wave. Wants to catch it before it gets pushed in, and Malrang and Trymbi have been able to delay it long enough that Comp will get here in time.
Now, G2, they're able to get a kill onto Hansama, and ideally they would have pushed this wave underneath the tower so that Comp lost this entire wave, but he was able to get back in time thanks to Malrang and Trymbi holding the line. Overall, though, it comes back to what you were saying, Caedrel. This bot lane for Comp, Koi rather, wants to get ahead in the early game, but Yike pathed in a way that allowed them to look for an early gank. They force out all of these summoners, and the fact that they get that kill onto Comp means that you're already mitigating a lot of the early power that this Varus Kalista is supposed to have in the early trade.
If he hits that Q, he's dead, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think he is as well, but I think the pain there is, I think Mikyx is screaming to go onto Comp, but Yike was really hesitant. He eventually flashed W'd him. He could have done it a bit sooner, I think. Because I think he might be running Nimbus Cloak regardless. He was in range, but then by the time he did it, he took a tower shot. That's why it ended up in a 1-for-1. Should have pulled the trigger faster. Mikyx looks really adamant in the play. Didn't want to go for Trymbi whatsoever. But yeah, Koi's bot lane, no sums left. Both junglers will need to hover around.
And Malrang did path top side to bot side, so now cleaning out his Gromp.
Yeah, look at this bot wave. Koi needs to look for a dive. Needs to force something here. This is the power of the Kalista Varus. Stack up the wave. Dive potential is insane. Here comes the dive. Yike's on the top side. If they can pull this off, 2 for 0, this bot matchup is just going to sway so hard into Koi's favor. They ideally want to pull this wave out, get this one in, stack up 3. Any TPs? Caps needs to cover this, otherwise bot lane is over.
Yike is stealing away Razorbeaks while all of this is happening. He won't be able to get here in time. G2, all hands to the pumps, all defense on. Boomerang going out. Looking for the knockup, they can't get to Hans Summer. Instead, they go for Mikyx. Comp was taking the tower, but Comp will get one. TP coming in from Caps as he joins the party. He's looking for Comp, and the damage is coming down to bomb! Double bomb from Caps! That's truly a bomber if I ever seen one. Trymbi now retreating away. Caps gets two. Larssen came a little bit late to join the fray. And in the end, the tower dive goes in favor of G2.
You called the teleport, Caedrel, and the timing was fantastic. Mikyx body blocks for Hans Summer as much as he can. Comp takes the tower aggro, which means that he takes the initial tower shot, and Caps without hesitation dives in, applies the bomb onto Comp, waits for the explosion, and the damage is good.
And you might laugh and say, Malrang, why are you standing on top of Comp as well? Why are you going to tank the bomb? Well, if he flashes to the left, he's just going to get a reset and jumped on top of anyway, right? He's 1 HP. There's no real way he can get out, so can't really fault Malrang for just standing on top of his AD carry there. I think he's dead no matter what. Even flashing over the wall, he can't escape. Now it's G2's turn. This is the old school 2019 meta. You're bot wave stacking, you get dove. Then it bounces, and now we dive you. Yike's trying to threaten it. Malrang's here to cover. Looks like it won't come to anything, but he's holding the wave there. That's going to be a bit of a pain for Hans. Maybe he's going to stop his base here to try to get it in. Yeah, and that's when Koi strike.
They look for it. Comp is low here. No flash, no heal. Ignite is ticking, and Comp will fall, but Hans Summer next up. Trymbi gets another. Malrang chasing in here as well. You can see Yike tentatively thinking, can I join? Not in time. It's a double for Trymbi. And who's the AD carry now? The Kalista is online.
Trymbi's Kalista mechanics looking clean. Malrang's flash Q was a little short, but they end up securing a double kill to the bot side of the map, and Koi are staying relevant in this early game. The gold actually in their favor. Caps should be able to secure a plate off the back of this, forcing Larssen to commit the TP. But overall, I was very concerned for Koi initially after the struggles that they faced in the early 2 versus 2, especially with the Caps TP down, but they didn't hesitate. They looked to punish Hans Summer and Mikyx as they tried to push the wave underneath the tower. And now Koi is definitely in a favorable position as we look back towards bot.
They are, and now my eyes are on Larssen. It's time to get involved in this game, buddy. It's been a 4v3 in bot for this majority of the game. Caps coming down level 3, level 4, then the TP to cover the dive. And you can kind of understand why. The Tristana does get the push into the Ahri early on. Level 7, couple points in queue now. He can start to push back. I think Larssen is the one who needs to start helping his team. With this level 6 on Vi coming through soon as well. Start trying to punish as a mid-jungle.
I completely agree. Ahri's Q. Oh, hang on. Caps
he knows there's no charm, so he can just get some free damage in.
Yep. But yeah, Ahri's Q damage is very strong, especially once you hit that level 7, level 9. Should be able to push through these waves, but he's not looking for a roam just yet. Yike is moving into the enemy jungle. Caps is trying to get the push. Top has the push as well, which means that the rest of G2 are here to assist Yike, especially with Mikyx in mid-wave as well.
Szygenda looking to trade a little bit here in the top lane. Ragnarok comes out from BrokenBlade to dodge away from the Gnar. Lots of damage onto BrokenBlade though, and no real minion wave for them. Szygenda goes into the mini Gnar, flashes away. Caps has a flash of his own. Buster shot, explosive is enough. Malrang facing up against Yike down towards the bottom side, and now Yike is on the wrong side of the rift. Looks like it might just be a 1-for-1 trade in the end. Yike puts down the Nature's Grasp, but no escape from Malrang. BrokenBlade running away. Larssen gets a couple of resets. Could look for a little bit more here, but with the undertow connecting, I think Larssen will just be looking to catch this wave.
G2's bot lane's here as well. Hans has moved up from bot side. Mikyx too. Larssen could look to charm flash here, but BrokenBlade has flash. He will get out. A couple plates could fall down to Hans here as he hits the mid tower. Herald's up.
So let's kind of look back quickly at how that happened, because G2, they had the push in mid. They also had Karma rotating up towards top first, and it's Caps who's here first on the play. He plays it very well, waiting for the bomb to secure that kill. Then Yike becomes a little bit isolated from his team as Mikyx tries to make his way up to assist. I think at this point, G2 need to be looking at the rest of the map. Maybe they can push another wave in top, but you can see the Sivir in mid lane as well, catching that additional wave, pushing that in, and potentially setting up G2 for a Herald contest as they're already in a position. And look at this. Yike respawns immediately back out onto the map. He goes to mid. They send Tristana down to bot to catch that wave. And they have enough members to secure this objective. So sure, it ends up being a 1-for-1, but you think about what Szygenda ended up losing off the back of that play, on top of the fact that it means a Herald with which G2 can use to unlock more on the map.
I also think the important thing in this game that's different from game 1 is Yike is really far behind. He's not been the winner of any of these kills. He's the only AP damage on this team, so he's going to be really slow in getting towards that Demonic Embrace and Leandry, so that helps Koi out so much in these Dragon fights. And it helps the itemization out just that little bit extra. So cross maps coming in, as you highlighted, Vedi. Dragon for Herald, looking for a few plates down here. I think they ideally want to make sure the Sivir can catch the wave safely on a tower, so Yike needs to make his way down here. Giving gold over to the Olaf is nice, but I think Sivir is there their win condition.
And even though Trymbi's picked up most of the kills in this bottom lane, you can see Comp actually still top of the leaderboards in terms of gold, close to Caps, close to Hansama, but Larssen struggling a little bit, hasn't been able to pick up plates in the mid lane, just constantly trying to catch the waves that are being pushed into him by Caps. BrokenBlade will steal away this red. It's much ado about nothing for Malrang. Doesn't really care that BrokenBlade is in his topside jungle.
We have to keep our eyes on the mid jungle here for Koi. They look like they want to contest this red buff. The control ward goes down. Larssen is threatening Caps right now, trying to get a bit of chip damage over the wall. And the bot lane needs to get that push so that they can come to assist. Trymbi does just that, moving up towards the tri-bush, but they realize Comp, he wants to go back to base, spend some of that money, and they're going to disengage from this situation.
Umbral Glaive on Kalista will help so much on this bot vision. Can clear out everything G2 have, and Malrang.
Oh, 32 HP on it, couldn't get there in time. He's trying to dodge away from all of these saplings, but he may have gone a little bit too far now. He's going to get slowed.
Trouble.
Doesn't have flash, has cease and desist, could go in onto Caps, immediately dives in, the charm coming in as well. They look to isolate Caps. Can they take him down? They can't. Caps on a rampage now. Mickey on the chase, double spirit rush available for Larssen, though he'll use those charges to get the hell out of there.
The idea was to create a 1-for-1. Malrang, he overcommitted, trying to steal away the red buff. And as a result of that, they thought that maybe they had enough damage to kill Caps, but the root from Maokai stopped Larssen from being able to use his ultimate, and that meant that G2 could walk away with the kill as Mickey and Hansama arrived to the fight.
It's interesting that he dashes over to try to steal it when his bot lane based. BrokenBlade diving top.
Red buff Ragnarok going in. Gnar coming out from Szygenda, though. The extra health might be enough. BrokenBlade flashes and gets the solo bolo.
What a monster. He knows these limits on this champion so well. Just a slither of HP left, pulls off the 1v1 dive.
Beautifully played by BrokenBlade, really knowing the limits of his champion there. And another big advantage gained for G2. Larssen not really having any mana to do much on the map, but he's also going up against Hansama, who has so much wave clear, going to be keeping him underneath the tower. Koi find themselves at a slight deficit for the time being. Not the end of the world. If you think about later into this game, the amount of utility that G2 have, Caps goes in onto Comp.
Trymbi's on his way, though. Chain of Corruption coming out. They're going to turn it back around with a face call. Caps has nowhere to go in the shutdown. Goes over to Comp. Just funnel the money into his pockets. Mickey next up. They're on the chase and underneath the tower. Mickey can only die. A double for Comp. And what a comeback in the bot lane for Koi.
Koi are alive in this series. Game 2 surely woke them up. Game 3 was phenomenal, and now in Game 4, they are fighting back, and it's through bot lane, through the win condition they had all year long last year. Top side is weak side, and bot lane is the lane to play through, and they're making it work.
And what I love about it is when Hansama and Trymbi were together on Rogue all those years ago, they were the duo that would do this all the time. They would make that bot lane play in the bush. They'd wait for someone to overextend. We saw Comp and Trymbi try it in Game 1, it failed. Now we see Hansama and Mickey try it, it fails, and Yike is trying to make something happen in the mid lane. Larssen trying to get away, the Ricochet is not going to do enough damage to fell the Ahri in the mid lane. Koi, though, with a 2,000 gold lead now, coming up to the 13-minute mark, a minute 20 on the Drake, and will look to take their next fight around it.
Comp, he realizes there might be some danger here, but he plays close to the river, pops the heal, throws the ultimate out, which buys enough time for Trymbi to get over the wall, flash, ulti, and then set up the play for the Koi bot lane. Comp doing a fantastic job, but who knew that Trymbi was such a talented Kalista player? 3-0-4 is the scoreboard right now, and his plays have been instrumental in getting Koi the early lead that they have.
Look at the bot lane lead, 4,000 gold total. Single-handedly carrying the top side right now of Koi. Fans are going wild here in the studio for both of these teams. Game is neck and neck, actually slightly Koi favored, of course. With this next dragon spawning, they should be able to pick that one up pretty easily. The only issue they have right now is top. Struggling a little bit, 2 plates over to BrokenBlade in isolation, a solo kill, but in terms of experience, Szygenda is all right. Pause has come through. And the Fnatic fans know that their team has arrived.
One time I'll allow the Fnatic chance today. We'll see if it works as a hack for G2. They can take a moment to breathe. You can see BrokenBlade there taking a moment just to evaluate a situation in the game. We'll find out what the pause is for in just a couple of moments' time for us all. Yep. But what a game it's been. Explosive, to say the least.
Oh, yeah.
This Kalista Varus from Koi. Currently, definitely in the driver's seat of this game. Next dragon about to spawn. If they can get 2 on the clock, they're in a very strong position to continue to force fights.
I'm trying to start the game.
Just want to clarify, for those that don't know, Caedrel does in fact not possess the power to start the game.
That's what you want them to believe.
No, stop
Vedi.
it, man. Stop it.
I'm not a rioter, man. I don't work for as a freelancer. I can spread these facts. We're going to pull back the veil, Vedius, on you red badges.
Or does he? Let me just start it in the next 5 seconds.
Oh, really? You can start in the next 5 seconds, can you? 5.
Give me 10.
3.
Give me 10.
2.
No, give me 10. Let me get to the button stuck.
Get wide. Oh, the button stuck. I'll give you another 5. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Why are you trolling me, Vedius? You're supposed to be on my team.
I was trying to help you, and then you said,
Later on this episode of Sesame Street, Count Vedius will tell us how to count from 6 instead of just 5. But just so everyone
knows. Do you want to run
knows.
through the alphabet again, my friend?
Yeah. Malrang's client did crash.
Yeah, I'll do it.
He is back into the game now, so we should be just unpausing it. You're going to do it?
Yeah, there we go. Do you hear the game?
Oh, I do hear the game.
Okay, let me just
Dulcet
put the screen on. Let me put the telly on. 1 sec.
Okay. Take your time.
Producers.
Yeah.
There we go. Thank you, Pedro. And we're back in. 7-7 the scoreline, 2,000 gold or 1,700 between the two teams right now. Next Dragon up in 70 seconds. And that's what Koi is going to look for.
It's good that this is a best of 5, not a best of 3, because after that 2 first games, we would have been making some wild conclusions about the strength of G2.
It's better than a best of 1 at least, eh?
Better than best of 1 at least, but here we are, best of 5. Koi still have a chance, a fighting chance at that. Mid-wave contest coming in, Dragon is still up, and G2 look like they want to fight.
G2 have position in the river right now. Szygenda with no TP is stuck in top lane. It looks to me like Koi is just going to sacrifice this dragon, and I think it makes a lot of sense. Perhaps they can cross-map it for a tower in top lane. Larssen going to catch the bot wave. Comp and Trymbi going to catch the mid one. For the time being, no action will ensue. 30 seconds though on the Herald. Koi is in a good position to be able to secure that one, and maybe they can use it to unlock the mid tower. One thing I will say is sieging against this G2 composition can be difficult for Koi, largely just because you have double AD carry wave clear. One of those AD carries is a Sivir, and you have the threat of a Maokai ultimate. So every time you approach that tower, there is a real world where Maokai can just throw the ulti down and potentially lock you up. So
Cap's going to go in. As soon as you know the charm's down, you can put some damage down. Control will keep Larssen safe from a couple of extra auto attacks. Caps with the Gale Force forward though. Everfrost just short. And unsurprisingly, the player with 4 kills in this game comes out slightly ahead in terms of trades.
A lot of damage, isn't there? Caps, even though he's down a level, can look to burst through Larssen if he gets in range with 1 more auto and an ultimate.
But also good use of the Gale Force to sidestep some of the skill shots there from Caps. Just great awareness.
However, Malrang's here, and there's a cease and desist.
Yeah.
And I'm... Oh, he buffered it!
No way can you do that!
Oh my god, what?
That was... I've never seen that before. Wow.
So everyone knows about Tristana W buffers,
Yeah, sure.
but I've never seen it from a Vi ultimate before.
I've seen it from Ezreal E on Vi,
Yeah.
but I've never seen it from Tristana W. I think the timing is a little bit harder than
That
Ezreal
was
E.
clean.
So
Caps.
well played by Caps.
Was forced to use his flash there, but at the end of the day, ends up just being a summoner that not the end of the world for him.
Oh, the button broke again.
I'm sorry, man. We're going to have to hold that button down for the rest of the cast, I'm afraid. We will just work out what's going on. Yeah, not something we commonly see. Unsurprising that it's Caps who continues to surprise us in the LEC. And considering the rest of the series, although he's had a few good moments, the games haven't been about him. This one, very much about how much he can carry from the mid lane here. 4 and 1 currently on that Tristana. And although the Koi bot lane is ahead, you always feel that Caps can wreak havoc when it comes to a team fight.
Definitely can. Especially in a team fight where it's very front to back heavy. He's got a Sivir by his side this time, doesn't have to super commit next to things like the Nautilus. With the Karma by his side, he can play the team fights a little bit slower, not have to just dive in there and see what happens.
And you've got BrokenBlade just sprinting at the enemy team as well during a fight, right? Ragnarok, run at the AD carry, see what you can do. Gives Caps and Hans Summer a little bit more freedom, a little bit more space.
It sounds so easy. You just right-click them.
I mean, yeah. Like, Olaf as a champion can be very complex, but at his essence, he is press R, right click.
True, but hitting the axis is
oh yeah, that's the complicated part.
Yeah.
But
once you hit the axis, that's when you are a standout Olaf player. And BrokenBlade took a page out of Adam's book recently and said, you know what, it's broken.
Yeah.
And no one else thought the same.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, like, I always get mad at pros because there's how many champions?
160 something, I think. I'm going to say 165, but I might be wrong.
And they sit there and they go, there's only 3 playable champions in the whole game.
It's true.
Sorry, that's it. It's not true. You know it's not.
It's a fact.
It's not true.
I mean,
it's like you trying to tell me that Lee Sin is the only viable jungler.
It's
you
terrible.
know that's not.
Can't play it.
You,
Right. 50s again, more buffs. It's, I mean, it's win-win, win up, but more
do you know,
buffs.
like, I stand by the fact that, you know, I did introduce Nocturne into professional play, you know, and no one thought that it was good. I was telling them for years, and then what happened? It became pick ban, first pick, top lane.
So his passive killed creeps
Yeah,
faster.
I will
and
also say that
that's what they know.
Complaining about their pro players only playing a few different champions.
Yeah.
When you were Nocturne mid one trick.
Yeah, but it's,
for
I'm not a
many
pro
years.
player. You know what I mean?
You were a pro player.
Well, okay, yeah.
I
like,
cast you in a professional game of League of Legends.
That was like 10
lost
years
that
ago.
10 years.
Maybe because you weren't playing Nocturne mid. That may be the issue.
Yeah, no, I was a big Ahri advocate back in the day. I was a good Ahri.
You played Caedrel for a short time as well?
No, I didn't really.
Okay.
I always wanted to play.
is that more like you tried to play Catarina, but the buttons never really...
and then I never actually could play Catarina.
Okay.
There was an opportunity there, you see, for me to make fun of you, and then I didn't. See? Growth. That's what I like to see
You have an
on the
opportunity
desk.
there? Sorry, I wasn't really paying attention to what you were saying.
Oh, no, I wasn't saying anything. That's probably why you weren't paying attention. A peripheral issue for Larssen right now. We're just sorting things out. I do think we have a replay of the Tristana jump, so he can be doubly surprised. You know, the button
Sure,
one.
give us a replay.
Marcus said that perhaps we could bring that up. And now that I've called him out specifically,
He knows he has to
doesn't
do it.
come up. Everyone's going to tweet at Marcus, even though that's not his Twitter username.
Just some random person.
At Marcus.
And he starts
Why
trending.
would you do this? Why have you not started the game?
Just starts trending on Twitter. Who's Marcus?
I wish we had that much power.
Interesting.
But we'll see if it comes up. If it doesn't,
Will
we
we
can just
see?
keep talking. Well, we hopefully we will see.
I feel like you muted there and I got muted too. Something just happened weird in my headset
It
when
might
you
be
talked there.
okay,
Did it
so
happen to
it
you
might
too?
be someone-
It did, yeah.
It did, right?
What happens is when producers talk to us, everything else gets muffled.
Yeah, I didn't hear them though.
So yeah, sometimes they press
so
the
what
button by
happened?
accident,
Yeah,
and you
that's
get
what
muffled.
happened.
Or they're trying to talk to you, and you're about to talk, so they then
yeah,
don't want to talk over you.
I see, right. That makes sense.
I think we're getting into games soon. I can see
Oh,
the
why
players.
would you say that? That's like, I
man?
taught you
That's
this like
doomed.
2 years ago.
Okay, let's see if
You're
it,
not
let's see if it
supposed to
works
say
then. Let's see.
that.
I'm going to say the
Okay,
players said ready, and they're going to start the game.
We're going to start the game in a couple of seconds, Caedrel.
I think so too.
How many? Yeah.
6.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I had to
So
put-
Medic has the button!
It was Medic all along.
Medic has to start the game!
I was his ghost. He was my ghostwriter. It was Pedro and Medro.
All right, let's take
get
stock of the
back, yeah.
game. We're 16 and a half minutes in. The goal is pretty much even. Small advantage for Koi. We're even in Drakes, even in Towers. Koi found themselves a game down right now, but definitely in a position where this game is winnable.
It's always winnable. Vedius not over till the next explodes. The energy in the studio here is electric. All the fans just screaming their hearts out. And now it's just a mid-wave contest again. I feel like I said that the last time the pause came through, but it's the same scenario we're in. 1-3-1. Both teams just looking for a little bit of mid-push, a little bit of vision, and there's no real neutrals to play over right now. But Larssen.
Thanks for the charm onto Caps. Caps can just jump away if he so desires. Instead, orders to control ward a couple of times.
Larssen now has kill threat onto Caps. And Caps is going to respect that, so he's just going to back away.
Doesn't have any vision on the bot side either, so like another Vi could be waiting in the bush. You could have Trymbi there. Both of them are down towards that bottom side. G2 did do a good job of taking the last 2 neutrals, though. They secured themselves the Dragon and have the Rift Herald sitting in Yike's inventory. About a third of the timer down off of that. Doesn't really get you too much, apart from, you know, the charge. There's no plates left for you, but if you take this mid tier 1 and with 4 members strong, you could push in for a tier 2, or you could just use it later on around the Dragon timer to try and get yourself some mid priority.
The poke is strong from Comp. We could see the amount of damage he was able to unload onto Mikyx. Of course, there is a 5-level difference, which does contribute, but G2 continue.
Oh! Mikyx flashes away from the Gnar, then use the Mantra W with a poke from range. The healing from the W, he gets away. Mikyx walks out of it.
No way.
Wow. Incredibly close there for Mikyx. He was able to flash away from the Mega Gnar ultimate just at the right time. If that had connected, he definitely would have lost his life. Comp, though, with the Q and the W, didn't quite have enough damage to secure the kill, which means that nothing really gonna come off the back of that. We're now waiting for the next major objective to spawn. They know that, well, Koi, I should say, know that they can move into the enemy bot side jungle, get a bit of deep vision down, maybe look for a pick. The Vi Ahri combo, very easy to set up for Ahri to land that charm and look for a pick.
Definitely is, and that's the power of those 2 champions in the mid game. They're looking for that pick onto Caps, but it looks like Mikyx the one covering it off, making sure that the mid laner G2 is safe. BrokenBlade looks like he landed an axe, but Szygenda is going to come out of the Mega Gnar form and get a little bit of move speed. So yeah, I think the game's just quietened down a little bit until this next Dragon. 50 seconds on the spawn. I think Koi is pretty happy to take the fight now, I'd imagine. This is probably one of the points where they're strongest in terms of raw champion matchups against G2. You know, the Sivir doesn't really have her IE or Navori completed, wherever it may be. The Tristana also doesn't have it completed. So I think this is going to be the fight that Koi takes.
I wonder how far Hansama is away from that Navori, though. It's only sitting at 300 gold right now, so does still need a little bit in his pockets. Tristana as well. 1.6k there, though, for Caps, but he does need to finish Zerkers and IE if he wants to get to that 2-item power point. Might just finish off the Zerkers here and get himself the pickaxe. So almost at that Infinity Edge, but with 9 seconds on the Drake, you won't have it in time. Rift-Herald goes down towards the bottom side of the map. You can see Malrang hovering around this tower. BrokenBlade's going to push it in. And that will be a tier 1 falling. Dragon starting, Malrang going in. Look at the camps once again. Once again, the buffer jump. Nature's Guard's coming out as Yike tries to lock up Larssen, but off towards the top side of the fight. Mikyx already been assassinated. Now BrokenBlade is looking to Ragnarok, and Ragnarok on his way through Trymbi. And the Kalista can only do so much to get out of it. A shutdown going over to Hansama in the end as he gets the kill. The Dragon secured as well for G2. Szygenda going in, but Larssen can't get in range to get the charm up in time. And Undertow connects the Ravenous Hydra. Doing quite a lot of work. The arrow not enough. Dragon secured by G2.
Cap slams the door in Koi's face. They want to look for the engage, but he buffers the jump so well that there's no follow-up on the charm. He's just too far away. Too many units, distance, and a couple of things in the way. I think the Dragon was there too that he jumped behind. So the engage was a bit scuffed. They turn onto Mikyx, who was split off, but then they have nothing left. BrokenBlade just runs them down.
It was Yike's ultimate that I think that made the fight so difficult for Koi to fully commit to, because you can see Malrang goes in, Szygenda and Larssen want to try and follow up, but the buffer there from Caps, along with this ultimate, look, it just roots up the front line. Yeah. The flash from Malrang forced to create space, then Larssen's forced to disengage from the fight immediately, and then Trymbi's like, well, I flashed away, I can't get away from this Olaf, and at this point they've lost all position in the river, and they can't continue the fight. Koi, they need to find that initial pick and convert it into a winning team fight, but you see how much mobility Caps and Hansama with the Spell Shield have, and they make it very difficult for Koi to find a winning team fight.
Bless the players, it's a bit hard to lose focus, regain focus. What was the last plan? Because you're not allowed to talk in a pause, you know? The pros aren't allowed to talk about strategy, they're not allowed to talk about anything. You just have to talk about the issue at hand. So you kind of forget what the next play was. And then you have to remind yourself, and that takes, you know, a lot of energy to get everyone back on the same page, get the energy back up in the comms, and it's now 3 times where it's dropped. So it's Koi again with the pause. I think they have another technical issue. So the best thing to do in this pause is sleep. Yeah, just turn the PC off, restart it.
I'll have a nap.
Medics joining BrokenBlade there.
I was looking to see if there was a comfy way to lie on this floor, but I don't think there
definitely isn't.
And I'm an old man and my knee hurts, so
it's fair, man.
Probably shouldn't do that.
Old age gets to
all of us. Just as a reminder, this is the upper semi-final. The winner of this will go through to our finals on Sunday. No games on Monday next week, but we will have SK facing off against Mad Lions on Friday, and then the winner of that versus the loser of this on Saturday, and then the winner of this versus the winner of that on Sunday.
So the main takeaway, they're telling me, Medic, as an LEC enjoyer, is that LEC is on Friday this week.
It is on Friday this week.
And it's on Sunday this week, the finals.
Yes.
And there's no LEC next Monday.
No LEC
So
next
it's
Monday.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday this weekend.
Yes.
So I get LEC in 4 days' time.
It's Friday, yes, then Saturday, Sunday. What?
It's Friday. Yeah, okay, bang.
Anyway, we're going to hand over to the analyst desk as we start to sing. Guys, please, save us. Never mind.
Medic has such a soothing voice. It's crazy. Ender! Yeah.
Where am I?
There's another peripheral issue. So
Oh God, not another one.
Yeah. To be fair, we fell asleep after it got paused. We would never fall asleep during that game because it was actually, all jokes aside, super hype. And it's also super close. And I feel like it's the first game of the series, and that's why it's so unfortunate that it's been riddled with pauses, where it's actually blow for blow.
Yeah, definitely. I think finally, again, with Koi in the early game specifically, they're finding ways to translate their early game leads. And I think at first glance, we were looking at the double range bot lane, carrier special coming through now, and Trymbi instead on the Kalista. And honestly, he's been phenomenal on the Kalista so far.
100%. I mean, just from the laning, sort of trading back against the early ganks, then also a couple roams towards the top side of the map. He has been involved in every single one of the 7 kills that Koi have gotten so far. And I cannot say enough praise that you're playing a Kalista and being involved in every single kill. That's just wild how he's translating his pressure around the map.
Maybe it's why Larssen was only involved in one of the 7.
That's true, yeah.
That's
Larssen's
true.
taking a backseater while Trymbi's all over.
Yeah, but once again, when you play a lane like this, it's so important that you have that early jungle manipulation to come through. Yike was really quick on the ball, but Malrang, as we know him, stayed out on the map to make sure that he could influence this lane back in his favor. At some point in the game, I believe Trymbi even had more gold than Comp just because of how the skirmishes went in the early game as well. And as you said, he's out on the map.
All right, now I'm gonna do a little bit of a comparison.
It's okay. Can I give one piece of info first?
Go
They're
crazy.
replacing a PC on stage, so that will just take a few minutes.
Okay.
So go ahead.
I hope they don't have to like build the whole PC. You know the process.
No,
I'm sure we have a couple
I'm
lying
sure
around.
it's already done.
No, but I got a little comparison because I know the casters Caedrel, you know, talking about, oh yeah, I watched T1, I'm so cool. Keria played the Kalista. So I'm looking at the stats here. T1 Keria had a KDA of 14 on the Kalista. Okay, that's pretty good. Trymbi's got a KDA of 7, but technically no deaths, so it's like basically infinity. Damage per minute. T1 Keria, 385. Not bad, not bad. Trymbi, 384.
Ooh.
Right there. But it gets better because Keria only 82.4% kill participation, so kind of slacking there. I'd expect better of a Korean support, but you know, it is what it is. But the forward percentage also 36.2 for Mr. Trymbi in the bot side to 34 for Keria.
So you're saying he's as good as Keria?
I'm saying he's better according to 2 of these stat lines.
Wow. This is why we love stats, and when we will
Stats are real, baby.
use them
Stats
to our
are real.
advantage.
Game's not even over yet.
No, it just feels like it maybe, but it's not because it's incredibly close. But on the point of Trymbi, it's actually really cool because he has been very vocal since he's joined the league, actually in PGL and in interviews and all that, and he always has been saying, I will always do what we think is right for the game, for the lane, for the situation that we find ourselves in, even like the time when everyone was playing or didn't want to play Enchanters or were saying we're not going to play Yuumi or whatever. He is very, very willing to not only break the mold, but sometimes play the mold if necessary, but then, like in this case, just go above and beyond to try something new in an elimination, not an elimination main, but the elimination
To seed you into finals, right?
Yeah, just like personally speaking to him and theory crafting, you know, you speak to different players, and some players are super adamant in the way that they believe the game should be played. Whenever you come with a theory to Trymbi, he goes like, okay, and then like he's so curious. And that special character trait to have in a player, I think it's so important. And I think we've seen it so many times for him as well, just due to the fact, you know, the Soraka on stage at finals, now coming through with the Ashe earlier, the Kalista now. I think it's so important that not only are you curious, but you dare to kind of question the entire fundamental of the game, like we saw G2 do, for example, in game 2.
It's true, because I know I've seen him sort of, he's a bit of a connoisseur hanging out over in LS streams, you know, trying to get all the goss on what the next top bot lane champion is going to be. But also, like, just like last year, he was like the OG range support, I think, here in EU, just playing so many of those, and other people was all about the engaged supports that, you know, Mikyx would love to play on the opposite side. And I think expectations coming into this year, when the meta just fully adopted, like, oh, it's double range bot lane like every single game, we thought Comp Trymbi was going to be like the top bot lane in Europe. Like, and the BO1s, honestly, they didn't step up to that expectation. It was a weak showing in the BO1s for them and the rest of the team. Everyone sort of needed some time to get there. But since we've gotten to the best ofs, they have absolutely elevated. And this Kalista pick is just showing yet another layer of talent on Trymbi.
Yeah, it's going really well. But can they close this one out, I guess, is the big question. You guys were commenting on kind of like the way, you have such a...
Just keep it going, just keep it going. Sorry, I really agree with the question that you're about to bring on as well.
I agree with the question.
Because I think it's a really good question.
He's reading your mind.
Due to the fact
Edward Cullen right here.
Yeah, sorry. This is super good for the early game, right? It's super good where you keep the game going and you do snowball, snowball, snowball. The problem that what I currently have right here is that you're playing into these champions over here, okay? And these champions are super hard to lock down. We've seen it already a couple times into the game where Malrang is trying to ult on towards the Tristana, but Caps is buffering it. it. And when you want to ult the Sivir as well, you have to have a very niche timing where the smite comes down to proc the spell shield, and then you can kind of stop them from getting Sivir ulted instead, or Sivir spell shielded instead. And that's super difficult. So Kalista with the short range and with the damage kind of getting mitigated the further the game go, I think Rogue is on a little bit of a timer here as well. And that's what makes me worried about the Kalista so far.
Koi are also on a timer.
Oh, yes. I had
First,
to do
you
one.
lasted 5 weeks before the first slip. I forgive you that.
Well, it used to be Rogue time, right? And then it was like the inverse.
That's true. Now it's like Koi. I mean, Koi
No,
don't really
someone
have
made
a
a
time.
joke. Oh my god,
It was
there's such
just
a good joke.
It was
the
the
first thing.
Dawn Rogue.
On reflection, I wish I voted for Baus.
Well, look at that. Look at
I would have
that.
voted for Baus, yeah.
Well, no reflections allowed. Oh. Is it back to us? I think it's back to us.
It's back to
I
us.
think we're
Is it
about
back to us?
ready to get back
Is it us?
into the game.
I wasn't
The
ready
game,
for that.
I believe has
It
started.
is us, I think. There
It
we
is us,
are.
there we
Oh,
are.
we're in game!
We were sitting down. And here we are.
Back into the game.
Surely there'll be no more issues.
Huge action gonna happen very soon, in about 4 minutes, guys.
1, 2, 3.
Benny, I don't think we can count to 240 here.
Don't challenge me.
What comes after 8? Right, so Koi contesting mid-wave. Baron is up, no dragon for 4 minutes. This is the 3rd time I've said this out of pause, but this is the map state. 1-3-1, most likely to come through as Szygenda's hovering mid to make sure Comp can catch this wave.
G2 in a strong spot, though. 1,000 gold ahead. Second item complete on both Caps and Hun Summer. As AD carries going to dish out the DPS as the game goes on. 3 items, though, on Comp, and Trymbi still pretty strong, 2,000 gold ahead of Mikyx, but as the game goes on, the Kalista support means less and less in terms of the total gold value of your team. Yeah, she's got a Fate's Call. Yeah, she'll put out some damage, but it's not going to be as effective as a traditional AD carry.
Big boulder there to get the wave for Szygenda. Nice little Gnar skin. So again, Malrang hovering behind Larssen. Just sitting there, waiting for him to take this top tier 1. Caps is not even there. He's bombed.
Oh, Szygenda look for the double jump. Blast go. Oh. Okay, that's how that works. Then flashes away.
Okay, well.
Was Szygenda on top of the blast gun? Because it does knock you up if you're directly on top of it.
I think he was.
That was
But they're looking for no flash on Yike. This could be a pick here for Koi if they want to commit.
But instead, they've gone for Mikyx. Cease and desist used on him. Larssen's going to try and get away from Yike. The chase on for Mikyx. He will fall. Larssen escapes up towards the top side. Don't see if he used the ultimate there.
A good pick from Koi, punishing Mikyx out of position. Did lose him his flash as well, or rather did cost him his flash. G2 though.
Oh, Larssen did use the ult, and Yike's going for the chase here. It's Demonic Radiant Virtue. I think Yike actually might win these. TP coming in. Nature's Grasp.
He's dead.
Like, Nature's Grasp behind him, but as you say, it may very possibly be dead. Twisted Advance. Malrang holds onto the Q. Nature's Grasp coming out, but that's a jungle dead. Hun Summer's on the wrong side of the rift, as is Caps. Baron, a possibility here, Vedi, as you call for it.
I mean, Larssen is pretty low, so is Trymbi. It seems that they don't want to gamble it, but this doesn't mean that G2 have a beeline down the mid lane. They're not going to take advantage of it. Instead, they're just going to steal away some camps, look for a quick reset. Ends up being a 1-for-1 overall with Mikyx's earlier death, and then Yike going for a bit of a questionable play, quite frankly. Tried to find a pick onto Larssen, but he ends up losing his life as a result, and now the gold is dead even. We can see how it is divided between the two teams, the bot side for Koi and the top side in favor of G2. And these fights, it feels like the longer the game goes, the easier it gets for G2. We'll see how Koi look to approach as we get closer and closer to the 4th Drake of the game.
This is the first Kalista support in the world that completes their Mythic. Wow. Most of the games that they're playing,
really?
It's Umbral Glaive or it's a Serpent's Fang and the game's over. But now 2 items on Kalista. We'll see what the Dustblade can do in team fights.
So invisible.
Being involved in every single kill probably does help.
Yeah, it does. And getting, 4 of them for yourself.
Yeah, somewhat helpful.
Elevates you towards that Dustblade. Obviously, Umbral Glaive giving you gold. Out. Oh yes. Wow. Oh yes. That's the Varus damage we come to expect.
Yeah, that wasn't even a fully charged Q, was it?
No.
Just saying that felt personal. You know what I mean? He just threw the ultimate out, dropped a full combo onto Caps.
And the ult will be back up for the Dragon fight if they want to use it there. At the moment, they are setting up around this Baron. They're on a control ward.
Hello.
They have started it. Caps hasn't had a
no
chance to
teleport,
fully
remember?
reset. As you say, BrokenBlade's no teleport, but I think Koi perhaps didn't realize that there was control ward there.
I think that they were just
or maybe they did.
trying
Thought
to
Caps
bait
might TP in.
G2 into the river. They were trying to find a pick where they could. They know that BrokenBlade cannot get involved in the fight right now. Now he's on his way up. Pushed out the bot wave, making his way up towards mid. G2 have to play the patient game. Yike actually got the smite over the wall.
It was just in range. That hurts a little bit in terms of vision, but you can use it against them.
BrokenBlade going all the way around here. Was spotted.
Hello.
They cleared out that ward. Nature's Guard's coming out. Larssen has the Spirit Rush. Comp might get caught here. Tries to dodge between the two, does still have the flash, but Caps is diving forward. Face Call's gonna lock him up. Chain of Corruption coming out as well, but Yike body blocks perfectly. Instead, they go on to Caps with the cease and desist. Comp and Trymbi are dead on the back line. Now it's on to Malrang, Larssen, and Szygenda to win this 3v3. BrokenBlade running forward with the Ghost. They're going to try and disengage, but Hans Summer opens up. Stopwatch from Larssen, but all he's going to be met with is a Boomerang Blade. Hans Summer takes him out, and G2 win the fight.
3 for 2 in favor of G2, and you can see the dive from both sides. The Maokai and the Olaf going onto the bot lane of Koi, and then Larssen and Malrang looking for Caps. But by the time Caps dies, the actual DPS is in favor of G2 because the Sivir is up, and she can just throw out auto attacks. Not really any threat of a Vi ult or an Ahri ult.
The dive was also so deep because Caps, he was able to buy enough time with the W and the flash over the wall. Malrang did end up following him, and so did Larssen, but they created so much space between them and their backline. Comp and Trymbi just couldn't fend for themselves. Caps doing a great job of just buying plenty of time, which meant that G2 could walk away the victors of the fight and secure themselves their third dragon, now putting them at stall point.
Comp didn't have the ult either, it was still on cooldown, but now they're going towards Baron. TP's coming in. I think they realized that they have a little bit of tempo on this top side. How fast can they get it down though? Their champs aren't that quick at doing damage. Gnar's probably the highest DPS here. Trymbi's almost dead from tanking it.
Can jump out of the back of the pit if needs.
I don't know if they can finish this. Trymbi's gonna die.
Might die to the Baron. Doesn't yet. Koi will disengage. Yike on the chase. Nature's Grasp, an option for him. Malrang will take the honey fruit. Nature's Grasp coming out. G2 looking for something more out of this fight. Yike going in, twisted advance already. Szygenda down to half HP. Face cool. Gets Comp out of danger, but BrokenBlade still on the chase. Flash forward. There's one. Yike takes it. Larssen and Szygenda now on the wrong side of the rift. Larssen's going to try and spirit rush away, but all his rushing is met with G2. Hans Summer on a killing spree now. Malrang looking for Caps, and he won't get him as he buffers away the jump once more.
Oh, he knocks it back
with the buster shot. You just can't get on Caps. He's dancing around Malrang, socially distancing him. As Szygenda's chased down by Mikyx. Now, Szygenda does win out on the pure 1v1, but Hans Summer doesn't like it when people hit on his support and will take him out. The flash away from Szygenda is only going to buy a little bit of time, as Yike can cut this off if he wants. Actually, might buy more time than I was expecting. Comp, though, stepping forward. BrokenBlade will chase him out. And he does manage to kill off Mikyx. BrokenBlade, though, will
hang on a minute.
Take out Comp. Yikes, now catching up with Szygenda.
Still alive.
With the Mega Knives there. Szygenda walks out. What the hell? Baron delayed so long he can't be taken. Malrang's back. And here we go for round 2.
What is going on?
What did we just watch?
Comp killed Caps. Szygenda got away.
Wait, when did Caps die?
You didn't see Comp kill Caps? Yeah, no, Comp killed Caps. That's what happened. I think Caps might have jumped a little bit too far. Let's look at it again, shall we?
Yeah, let's.
So it starts off with Trymbi just getting chunked out on the Baron. Yike then throws the ultimate out, and it's just peel central for Koi. They pull out Comp, and then BrokenBlade dives the backline. Nice charm by Larssen, stops Caps' jump, and they dashed onto him to force him out the fight. But it looks like it's very G2 favored as of now.
Yeah, Larssen runs out of damage to be able to secure a kill onto Caps, and at this point, Koi is just too split up. Larssen ends up losing his life, and it's at this point that you think G2 are just going to go for the Baron. But Caps is getting chased out. The knockback comes out from Caps' ultimate to provide space, and again, at this point, you're thinking, okay, G2 will probably consider the Baron. But instead, they're like, well, hang on a second. Caps looking for a bit of... okay, well...
And then Mikyx also dies.
Then Mikyx also dies, and then they can't kill Szygenda, and then...
But the worry I have for Koi in this game is their champs are so burst heavy. Like the Vi ult, the Ahri ult, the Varus Q, that's it. There's no real DPS after that, but G2 have a lot of consistent DPS that they can rely on. So the longer the fight goes on, the worse it gets for Koi. They need to make sure they make a snappy engage and get hands down quickly.
They also have to lock those targets down with the spell shield and the W buffer we've seen multiple times from Caps. It's no easy thing to do.
This looks like a bit of a sticky situation. Larssen's going to try and get away. Twisted advance, a possibility, but a good charm from Larssen. Malrang going in, they're looking for Hans Summer instead. He smites the spell shield and Hans Summer falls. Now Koi surrounded by 4 members of G2 as BrokenBlade once again goes on a rampage in the midst. Larssen with a stopwatch, Szygenda wasn't there. And even though they kill off Hans Summer, the rest of G2 pounce.
The bot lane can't move, can they? Comp and Trymbi are just sitting ducks. BrokenBlade's just destroying them next to Yike. There's nowhere they can go. Well played by Malrang. Take a bow. Really good engage next to Larssen on the hands, but What can Comp and Trymbi really offer in these fights?
Oh, they're looking for Mikyx. Caps now locked up. Gale forces. Yike trying to get in the back of the pit. The Buster shot going out as Yike jumps over the wall. Malrang's got to pop a stopwatch. Szygenda into the mini Gnar form. Caps goes into the pit. Malrang still surviving for a moment. Szygenda kills Caps. Malrang gets away. Oh, baby! These two titans will not fall to the floor. It's round 3 at the Baron. Let's go!
Koi are holding on.
Malrang?
Wait, he's gonna...
Oh, he gets the shield off of his passive, I'm pretty sure.
Round 3, yeah.
Wow, okay, so the reason why that wasn't a Baron for G2 was because Caps was trying to keep Malrang away from the pit. You know, you just go over the wall, use your ultimate, create space. But the problem is the Baron isn't going down that quickly. But have a look at this engage from Malrang.
Insane. Really good on the hands. But let's watch Comp and Trymbi. What can they offer? They're standing there. They see an Olaf on one side, a Maokai on the other, a Tristana on the other side. They just get murdered. And then the rest of Koi just have to run away. They have no damage left. G2 take over the fight. Really one-sided.
But Szygenda's saying, hey, as long as me and Malrang are alive, there's still a world where we can actually contest this Baron. And look at how slowly it's going down when it's just BrokenBlade and Yike actually hitting onto the objective.
Sorry.
You see a bit of a fight
Comp had to flash away, but Mikyx being caught. Szygenda and Larssen find the enemy support.
He's still being chased.
Comp is still being chased up by Caps. Now Mikyx will fall. It's not sole point for Koi. It is for G2 if they take this Drake. Summer caught out by Malrang. Stopwatch to get away from the cease and desist, but that spell shoot's already been used and now he burns the flash. Comp drops back in and solo kills Caps. Comps finally finds a moment where he's left alone for the fight, but it might not even win it for Koi. Szygenda forced down towards the bottom side. Malrang trying to get in here as well. Yike's going to eat some honey food, gobble those up. Num 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 as he looks for a little bit more action here. Malrang stepping in. Trymbi, Comp, and Szygenda, what can you do? Boomerang. Szygenda trying to build up that Mega Gnar.
Watch Malrang, watch Malrang.
But watch Comp, the sapling. Comp, the sapling. On both sides of the sapling. Fate's call to save him from the sapling. It's the best mechanical play I've seen in years. Szygenda now building up that Mega Gnar form. Malrang, how long on your ult? Still a quarter of the cooldown left on it.
Mikyx back alive. He's making his way back towards the fight. Larssen, 20 seconds, has the teleport as well. Caps will be up before him though, but he has no TP, so he will have to run to the fight. The dragon has been started. Malrang on the flank.
Malrang gets onto Mikyx once again. The sapling's the boomerang. Comp chipped away. The dragon secured that soul. Mikyx forced low, but he flashes forward as he looks for more. Szygenda taking the blue buff. Yike looking for the flank position here. Nature's Grasp, will it find its mark? Comp goes back in. Doesn't get caught with the rubes, but Malrang sacrifices himself for his AD carry. And in the end, after all that, G2 get the soul and should be able to secure the Baron.
Absolute chaos! What the hell's going on? Koi end up losing the fight. G2 are on the Baron now. I think that's it. They're gonna get the neutrals. Soul picked up, Baron picked up. Koi, very valiant effort to try to stop it from happening. But it's G2 that come out on top.
Unbelievable sequence of events.
Can we just get a replay of Comp and how he lived,
yeah,
but then blast coned in and solo killed Caps? Then we can watch the G2 highlight reel.
All I saw on the minimap was him being chased by 2 people, and then I saw him use his ultimate. So this is how it starts. The ultimate comes out from Summer, Comp flashes away, BrokenBlade is looking to chase. Okay, so he throws out the axe, isn't quite able to land the first one. Caps rocket jumps over the top of him. And then the axe isn't quite able to land. The ultimate comes out from... Oh my god, the damage onto Caps forces him to disengage. And then Comp. There's the blast cone. Comes out of the fog of war. Caps doesn't expect that at all. Surprise, it's me. Comp secures the kill. And then that fight looked really good for Koi, but they actually couldn't get on top of Summer. So he was just playing behind his front line. He was consistently dishing out damage, which meant that G2 still had a reliable damage threat that was allowed them to get through the ensuing fight, securing the Baron and the Drag.
So the biggest problem Koi have now is this Olaf. How do they get BrokenBlade down? Burst champions, there's no Kaisa, there's no Vayne, there's no real % HP damage. Other than, I mean, the poke Varus kind of, but Szygenda's going in.
Looking for the Mega Gnar, gets Yike back. Comp with the Chain of Corruption as well. TP's coming in from Koi. Might be last chance saloon for them. Larssen joins the fray, Everfrost, but there's no damage at all on Yike. He's still basically full HP and they invest everything into trying to kill him off.
And he's the second tankiest on the team. And they have a Chemtech Soul, so if you get him lower, he's going to be happier. G2 on the siege. Baron buff still up.
No way for them though. That one's still only half the way through the minion lane, the mid lane. I'm sorry.
It's okay, Medic. You take a breather.
I'll take a breath.
Keeping our eyes on the rest of the map. G2 have a pushing wave in mid. They need to go catch top. Bot is also in a bit of an awkward spot. You can see Szygenda trying to get ahead of it by immediately moving towards the bot side. BrokenBlade is, of course, level 18, the highest in the game, yet to die. Mikyx, though, is kind of making up for that. In his defense, he has been the focus in a lot of these fights.
But that's because he's the only one they can really focus.
That's
you jump
true,
on the
yeah.
Olaf, you jump on the Trist, not going to work. You jump on the Sivir spell shield, you jump on Yike, well, it's a pretty tanky tree.
Exactly that. Mikyx kind of squishy, only level 13 as well. But Trymbi even squishier, and we've seen that multiple times. Now, G2 have a wave. They're knocking on the door of Koi's base, and they're looking to end the series right here and right now.
Szygenda's basing. Mega Gnar's timing out. They're going to lose the inhib. I don't think they'll go for more. But as I say that, they are G2. Looks like they're going to move towards mid, but there's no wave there. Inhib goes down, but if you're Koi here, you don't want to fight. You just want to hold on. Elder in 2 minutes, 40 seconds. Just flip it, see what happens. GAs, get everything you can. Try to get a Rabadons on Larssen, because I see an Anathemas on the Maokai of Yike. I wonder if he's put it onto Larssen. I mean, he does have true damage on his...
AP damage as well.
He does have true damage on his Q2 pullback, but he is the only...
Oh, Nature's Grasp. Could come out. Szygenda going forward. They see him. He's on the control ward.
No.
Szygenda gets Goomba stomped by Caps, and there's nowhere for him to go. BrokenBlade chased off the rest of Koi, and although Larssen's finished that Rabadons, it might be a little bit too late for Koi right now. Super minions pushing in the top wave. In the next minion wave, this one still only has a cannon to bolster it. Koi do have relatively good wave play with the poke from the Varus with the Ahri Q, and they will do exactly that. But all that G2 are doing is delaying for the minion wave in mid. BrokenBlade will escort Caps rooted, gets the Buster Shot down. The Nature's Grasp now coming out. G2 looking for a little bit more out of the action as Caps has already fallen. Hansama stepping forward. Trymbi low on HP. The inhibitor tower next up for G2. They'll take it. They'll look for mid inhib as well. Double inhibs down with a minute 30 on the Elder.
Yeah, easy pick up there. 1 for 1 in the fight. Caps doesn't lose any summoners, Larssen does. Trymbi had to use the cleanse as well. Elder is the next focus. It'll be really hard for Koi to get into the bot side river and fight it, but they have to get in there somehow. They need to get really creative.
Good from Yike there. Those wolves would have actually stopped everyone's back if they had attacked them. So Yike delays his recall slightly to make sure that the rest of his team could reset on time.
What a game.
What a game. What a series. After games 1 and games 2, it felt like G2 were looking to repeat history, go for another 3-0, but Koi bounced back in a convincing way in game 3. In game 4, they brought out something a little unique, and they made it work. The bot side of the map was incredibly strong, but as we got later into these fights, BrokenBlade has really been a nuisance that Koi have not found a way to answer. He is unbelievably strong. There is no real threat onto him, and it feels like that whenever the fights start, he is just an unparalleled monster. And Koi, they're kind of praying for a steal right now. A big blunder from G2. Perhaps they can find a pick with the Ahri. Maybe they can catch Hansama unawares. But even if they do, how do they then deal with BrokenBlade? Malrang trying his best. He has the GA now, but I wonder if it is enough. Elder Dragon now, 17 seconds. G2 have firm control over the bot side of the map.
BrokenBlade's the biggest problem. You just highlighted it there.
Flanking.
Larssen is... How can you flank? There's so many saplings, but they have to get in here somehow.
Flash from Yike looking for Larssen. The charm going wide as well, and Larssen can stop time for a second, but with the TP coming in, Spear rush away. Larssen surviving. Caps going forward. Caps lands the final shot and then pops a stopwatch of his own. Szygenda trying to get into the back line, but BrokenBlade is running them down. The blade that was broken has been reforged, and G2 will destroy Koi in the river. The Guardian Angel can only watch as Malrang goes down for a second time. A triple to Hansama, and the base in tatters around Koi.
The collapse from Yike onto Larssen sealed the deal for G2, and they'll look to end the series right now.
G2 make a date with destiny in the finals once again. The new look for a new roster. It continues G2's winning ways as they lock a spot in the finals on Sunday.
Koi were competitive in the 3rd game, and they were certainly competitive in this 4th game here, but G2, just a masterclass of skirmishing, teamfight mechanics, such a good display of talent from both these teams, but it's G2 that come out on top.
And Koi, they'll feel frustrated, but of course they're not out of playoffs.
Yep.
They will move down into the lower bracket semi-finals. They will face up against the winner of MAD and SK, which means that they still have an opportunity to get that rematch against G2. There's a real world where they could turn things around, take what they've learned from this series, and perhaps get revenge on what G2 did to them today.
And they're no strangers to doing so. I mean, they came to the finals and 3-0'd them last time, right?
For sure.
So, a lot to work on for Koi. G2 can now sit happy in the finals, watch their opponents fight it out, duke it out. As SK and Mad are up next.
But Hansama returns to Europe, finds himself in the final once more. A reminder, he's yet to win a title in Europe, which is a surprise to many. He's made his appearance known in multiple. You can see BrokenBlade trying not to get too hyped. He knows that there's still another best of 5 that he needs to win. But what an exciting winter split we've had so far. SK with the Uprise, Mad Lions looking good in form, and Koi, even though they find themselves in a comfortable position right now, it's going to be no easy road as both teams look stronger into our best of 5s next week, starting Friday. On Friday.
Yeah, on Friday.
Starting on Friday.
And 3 best of 5s in 3 days. It's going to be a pretty intense weekend for all of us.
For sure.
And then a week break.
Woo!
And then we're back in
it again!
For a spring split.
A winner of this finals, remember, gets a spot at MSI as our 2nd seed.
Yep.
Or as our 1st seed if they win both this and the next split.
That's very true.
It's not just fighting for, you know, your name as LEC Winter Champions. It's also fighting for a spot amongst the best in the world at the New Look MSI that's happening in London.
And you talk about Hansel never having a title, and I mean, it was taken away from him 1 game away from winning against Mad Lions. It's Yike's debut split. Might win a title in his debut split as well.
Yep.
And I feel like G2 have always found a way to bring in rookies and win a debut split. They did it last year with FLICKR, Targamas, not so much a rookie, but still coming back. And they're doing it again here, finding talent, making it work.
And I think that we're continuing to see what makes G2 such a strong team. Their creativity in the draft, their flexibility in the game. They're not afraid to make these plays, and I think it's worth saying that Koi definitely put up a fantastic fight, right? We saw great strength from them, and I'm confident that they can give us another incredible best of 5 if they do end up rematching. But G2 were the better team on the day. You can vote for your player of the series over at LEC on Twitter. BrokenBlade, Yike, Hansama all had incredible performances throughout the series.
I feel like G2 has pillars that make it so you will succeed, and I think Caps is one of them.
Oh, for sure, 100%.
I think Dylan Falco is another. I think the drafting at MSI specifically this year as well, the turnaround, just bringing in these new players and incorporating them so well, having these pillars around you, you can only really go up.
Yeah, you use them as a strong foundation to continue to grow, and we'll see how much G2 can continue to grow over the course of the next week, and whether or not someone else in the LEC will be able to upset what at the moment I would call our champions elect, with them having beaten Koi, who went undefeated in the group stage. But of course, they do still have to make it through that final best of 5 with SK Mad Lions and Koi all looking to challenge them on Sunday.
So we are getting ready for an interview very shortly, but in the meantime, reminder, we're going to keep saying this, you need to pay attention. Friday is when the playoffs will start this weekend. We start a day earlier to long-time LEC fans will be familiar with, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday is in fact our stage.
Saturday, Sunday.
I don't know this song.
You don't know the Friday song?
I know Friday,
Best song. Oh, apparently there's an
Friday.
interview standing by. Laure, take it away. Friday.
I am shocked by what I just heard, Vedi. You need to listen to this song. But anyway, Dylan, thank you so much for joining me for this interview. Congrats on taking down the team today. Tell me, describe this party. And this game. It was a party for us, but describe this game, please.
This game was a complete fiesta.
Yeah.
I actually feel that with our draft, against their draft, after the game is even close to even early, there's almost no chance of us losing this game if we played normal. I'm actually a bit unhappy with the way my team played this game, because I think we could have just played a lot safer, a lot more reserved, and kind of collected the win and collected the grand finals appearance. But we had some aggressive players and aggressive personalities in the game, I would say.
It's for the best, and sometimes it becomes flippy games, but you had the advantage against Koi today. Can you describe me the change of pace between the first 2 games and then game 3 and what we just saw now?
I think the first 2 games were pretty good from us. I was pretty happy with it. I was very happy we got to do the Sejuani mid-game. This was a secret strategy we'd been preparing for quite some time, and the fact that we got off the complete stomp version of it, where we invade level 1 and everything happens, is really cool. There's no way they saw that one coming. And then obviously third game was a bit harder.
I love it because every time I see G2, I expect new picks and spicy picks, and obviously Sejuani falls onto this category. But how often do you have players suggesting spicy picks, and how many of them usually make it through in drafts?
You only see the troll picks I say yes to. Okay. There is an infinite supply of troll picks in the League of Legends, or at least it feels like when you're the coach of G2. I have to say no to a lot of troll picks, but we actually have quite a few still left, and hopefully we can show maybe one or two of them maybe in the grand finals.
Interesting. Well, looking forward to see this in the coming week. How is it as a coach, though? Because I know this is something we discussed in PGL. You're lucky to have players who are creative enough and who come up with interesting stats. But how do you implement them in your draft plan with your coaching staff?
I think the most important thing is just to like understand why players want to play these champions. If Caps comes to me with an idea like, I want to try Sejuani mid with Bel'Veth, I think we can play carry jungles and be really OP. We sit down and we plan out the early game, like this level 1 is something we have choreographed and we've talked a lot about all the different scenarios and how it can go. The fact that we need to fight a lot mid jungle with these combos is something, for example, we would talk about a lot. So it's about not just picking it because my player wants to play it, it's about creating a strategy around it and actually understanding it. Oh, also, it needs to not be a bad champion. It can't be like bad, you know? Then it's just not a good troll pick.
Yeah, I know Mickey wanted to suggest some stuff that didn't make it through. But anyway, when you think of G2 and how far you've come, does it match the expectations that you had coming into this season with this team?
It became very, very clear, very fast, scrimming with this roster, that we're at least the most talented and skilled roster in Europe. It was just very clear. To me now, it's just about living up to those expectations, performing on the day, having good match preparation. It's easy to think you're the best team and have a bad day on grand finals, for example, next week, and then we're second, which I think is not good enough for this roster. So it's been really good.
High expectations, especially when you think of G2 performing so well in any esports right now. So of course the League of Legends team has to follow up on this. I have one last question for you. I know that your dad was here today to watch the team perform. What does it mean to you to have your family showing up?
I'm not from Europe, actually. I'm from Canada. So my dad had to fly all the way to watch me for this set. So I'm very happy we won, and it just means a lot to me to have the support.
That buff. Thank you, Dylan. I know that... And thanks to the fans, of course, for the insane support we had this weekend. I know that BrokenBlade is waiting on the other side of the studio in PGL. Is there anything you would like to tell him?
Thanks for keeping everybody kind of in check when the things got a bit out of hand. I think BB was leading the game a lot, and just, I think that's about it.
Calm and collected.
Thank you.
Dylan, thank you so much. We will see you next week. And Sjokz, back to you for PGL with BrokenBlade.